When I moved to the Philippines at 71, I thought the hard part was over. I thought the biggest challenge was making the decision, selling the house, leaving behind a lifetime of memories, saying goodbye to familiar streets, familiar routines, and people I had known for decades. I thought once I got on that plane, everything else would fall into place. And in many ways it did. I found beautiful weather, friendly people, a slower pace of life. I found things I didn't even realize I had been missing. But here's something nobody tells you about starting over later in life. Moving to a different country doesn't magically solve every problem. Some struggles come with you. Others don't show up until after the excitement wears off. Even now, years later, there are things I still wrestle with. Some are practical, some are emotional, and some caught me completely by surprise. These are the 10 things I still struggle with after moving to the Philippines at 71. Number 10, missing family milestones. This is probably the struggle I expected the least. When I first moved here, I was focused on everything I was gaining: a new life, new experiences, a fresh start. What I didn't fully think about was everything I would miss: birthdays, graduations, family gatherings, the little moments that never make the news and never get posted online. A grandchild learning to ride a bike, a niece getting married, a family barbecue on a summer afternoon. When you live thousands of miles away, you start realizing that life keeps moving back home, whether you're there or not. Video calls help. Photos help. But they aren't the same as being in the room. There are days when I look at pictures from home and realize how much everyone has changed. And sometimes I feel like I've missed chapters of a story that used to be my everyday life. I don't regret moving here, not for a second, but I would be lying if I said I don't sometimes miss being present for those moments. Number 9, feeling like a visitor, even after all this time. This one is difficult to explain unless you've lived overseas yourself. The Philippines has been incredibly welcoming to me. People have treated me with kindness. I've built routines. I've made friends. I've learned how things work. But every now and then, I'm reminded that I wasn't born here. There are conversations I don't fully understand, cultural references that go right over my head, moments when everyone around me instantly understands something and I don't. It's not a bad feeling. It's just a reminder that starting over in another country means you'll always be learning. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. At 71, I still get to discover new things almost every day. But sometimes I still feel like a guest at a party that everyone else has been attending their whole lives. Number 8, healthcare uncertainty. Back in America, I knew exactly where everything was, which hospital I would go to, which doctor I would call, which insurance card was sitting in my wallet. Here things are different, not necessarily worse, just different. As you get older, health becomes something you think about more often. You start asking questions. What if something serious happens? What if I need long-term care? What if my health changes quickly? Most days, I don't think about it at all. But every now and then, usually late at night, those questions find their way into my mind. It's one of those struggles that never completely disappears. You simply learn how to live with the uncertainty. The 7th thing I still struggle with is the distance. When people think about moving overseas, they usually focus on the exciting parts: the beaches, the weather, the lower cost of living, the adventure. But distance has a way of revealing itself over time. At first, it feels like freedom. Then one day, something happens back home: a family emergency. An old friend gets sick. Someone passes away. And suddenly, you're reminded that home isn't a short drive away anymore. It's an ocean away, a long flight, multiple airports, a complicated trip that can't happen at a moment's notice. Most of the time, I don't think about it. I've built a life here, a routine, a community. But every now and then, the distance feels very real. It reminds me that every major life decision comes with trade-offs. You gain something, and you give something up. That's just the truth. The sixth thing I still struggle with is slowing down. Now, this isn't really about the Philippines. It's about getting older. When I was younger, I thought age happened all at once. I imagined you woke up one day and suddenly felt old. The reality is much different. It happens little by little. You notice you get tired sooner than you used to. Your knees remind you when you've walked too far. Recovery takes longer. Some mornings feel easier than others. I still enjoy getting out and exploring. I still enjoy meeting people and trying new things. But there are days when my body reminds me that I'm not 30 anymore, or 50, or even 60. And I've had to learn something that wasn't easy for me. Slowing down isn't the same thing as giving up. For a long time, I treated those two things as if they were the same. Now I understand they're not. Sometimes wisdom is knowing when to rest, when to take your time, when to appreciate where you are instead of rushing to the next thing. It's a lesson I'm still learning. The fifth thing I still struggle with is making deep friendships. This one surprised me. People often assume making friends is easier in retirement. In some ways, it is. People are friendly. Conversations happen naturally. You meet interesting people from all over the world. But deep friendships are different. Those take time. Years sometimes. Many of the people I was closest to back in America were people I had known for decades. We had history together, shared experiences, shared memories. You can't recreate 30 years of friendship overnight, no matter where you live. I've met wonderful people here. Some have become good friends, but every once in a while, I miss those old friendships that didn't require any explanations. The people who already knew my stories because they had lived through them with me. That's something you don't fully appreciate until it's gone. The fourth thing I still struggle with is how quickly the world changes. Sometimes it feels like everything moves faster than it used to. Technology changes. The way people communicate changes. The way people work changes. Even the way people think seems to change faster than ever. I try to keep up. I really do. But there are moments when I realize the world isn't slowing down for anyone, especially not for a 71-year-old man. The funny thing is, moving to the Philippines actually helped me with this. Because when you're already learning a new culture and adapting to a new environment, you become more comfortable with not knowing everything. You learn to ask questions. You learn to laugh at yourself. You learn that it's okay to be a beginner again. Still, there are days when I feel like the world sprinted ahead while I was still tying my shoes. And I suspect I'm not the only one who feels that way. The third thing I still struggle with is worrying about the future. You would think that by 71, I'd have all the answers. Trust me, I don't. In some ways, I have more questions now than I did when I was younger. What will the next 10 years look like? Will my health stay strong? Will I stay in the Philippines forever? Will life take me somewhere else? None of us know what's coming. That's true whether you're 21 or 71. But as you get older, time feels different. You become more aware that every year matters. Every decision matters. And every day becomes a little more precious. I've learned that worrying rarely changes the future, but that doesn't stop me from doing it sometimes. I think that's simply part of being human. The second thing I still struggle with is letting go of my old life. People often think moving overseas means starting completely fresh, and in many ways it does, but part of you always carries the past along for the ride. Sometimes I'll remember an old neighborhood, a favorite restaurant, a job I had years ago, a friend I haven't spoken to in a long time. Certain memories appear without warning, not because I want to go back, not because I regret leaving, but because those experiences helped shape who I became. You don't erase an entire lifetime just because you move to a new country. And honestly, I wouldn't want to. I've learned that it's possible to love your new life while still appreciating the one that came before it. The two aren't mutually exclusive. And finally, the number one thing I still struggle with after moving to the Philippines at 71, loneliness. Now, before anyone misunderstands me, let me explain. I'm happier here than I was before I moved. My life has more peace, more purpose, more gratitude. But happiness and loneliness are not opposites. Sometimes they exist at the same time. There are moments when I miss familiar faces, moments when I wish I could sit across the table from someone I've known for 40 years, moments when I realize that no matter how beautiful your surroundings are, human connection still matters, perhaps more than anything else. Loneliness isn't always about being alone. Sometimes it's about missing a specific person, a specific place, a specific chapter of your life. That's something I didn't fully understand when I was younger. I understand it now. The good news is that loneliness doesn't have to define your life. You can acknowledge it, accept it, and keep moving forward anyway. If there's one thing I've learned since moving to the Philippines, it's this. There is no perfect place, no perfect country, no perfect life. Every choice comes with challenges. Every path comes with sacrifices. The goal isn't finding a life without struggles. The goal is finding a life where the struggles are worth it. For me, despite everything I've shared today, moving to the Philippines was still one of the best decisions I've ever made. Not because it solved all my problems, but because it gave me a chance to live differently, to grow, to learn, and to discover that it's never too late to start over, even at 71.